So welcome, Mike, our brilliant and beloved colleague. We so appreciate your consistent solidarity and leadership. And as always at Setsi, we begin all things by giving thanks to the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toiled without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. So, Mike, can you please introduce yourself to our listeners and viewers and share a bit about your remarkable work?
Wow, that's a beautiful way to intro and land us into this interview. I'm really grateful for that, Victor. I'm joining you from my home and my office in Vancouver, British Columbia, which is, of course, the traditional and unceded territories of three nations that shared this territory for so many, many years. The Squamish Nation, the Tsleil-Waututh Nation, and the Musqueam peoples. All stewarded land on the southwest coast here, the Coast Salish territory. And I'm very, very fortunate to live here, very fortunate to have emigrated from the UK to be here when I was a child and to grow up here, and have tried my best to develop right relationships with each of those nations, and have had some good opportunities to work with a couple of them, which is wonderful. Most of our work, I'm a partner in, and I'm the CEO of Junxion Strategy, which is a social impact consulting firm. And we have a head office here in Vancouver, small presence in Toronto, and a bigger office in London in the UK. And we make it our business to help leaders build the success stories of the purpose economy. So we're interested to see how businesses can do more for our communities and do more for the people that work for them, the people that shop with them, for our shared environment. Basically to build the exemplars of a different way of doing business that is more sustainable and more just.
Indeed. Since the day we met, you've always had not just that mantra, but that energy of recognizing the importance of business doing more, a business evolving with the times, especially around social purpose. So my next question is, what's inspiring you around this work? What has you curious, or what's keeping you up at nights?
So it's interesting because what's inspiring me and what's keeping me up are two sides of the same coin. What keeps me up is a lot of the things that I think keep a lot of people up are changing climate, and I'm like witnessing it out of my window here. The forest is changing as the years go by. The biodiversity loss, and then the more social issues like vast and increasing income inequalities. I was reading some data about the wealthiest 1% this morning. They've earned half. They've taken half of the wealth that's been generated in the last 5 years, and the other 99% of us have taken the other half. And the top 1% have generated 2/3 of the carbon outputs, and 50% of us have generated the other third. So those are the things that keep me up at night. Those are the things I worry. These big, thorny, complicated, dangerous problems. But what gives me hope on the flip side is everywhere I go, every community that I visit, and in the last month, I had the pleasure of being in Toronto and in Chicago and in London. Everywhere I go, there are these networks of committed citizens, whether they're social entrepreneurs or activists or advocates, that are determined to change the way that we live and work together, to change the way business works so that it takes more responsibility, to change the way we think about what's important in society. Instead of just thinking about how much GDP grew, can we also think about how much well-being improved? And so that's what gives me hope. Everywhere I go, there's thousands and thousands of people working hard to make the world better in their own little way. And I think that the net of all of that is this incredible uplift, particularly in younger folks, to drive us toward better ways of being in community together, better ways of working together. It's wonderful. It's incredibly inspiring.
That's beautiful. Thank you. Thank you so much. So my next question, what challenges and barriers do you face in your work? And what are some of the approaches you and your colleagues are taking to overcome some of these challenges?
Well, there's two ways to answer the challenges, right? Some of the challenges are, I mean, we're a consultancy. We advise other organizations. So the challenges that we face are the ones that our clients bring to us. Sometimes those are challenges of how do we reduce our footprint, or how do we do better by our communities? And so there's lots of different ways that we might help them. Often it's simply asking the question, well, of the impacts that you're having in the community, which are the ones that you have any control over, and how might you exercise that control? And then which are the ones over which you have less control, and who might be the right partner for you to work with to mitigate those challenges? Those are sort of fundamentally questions of strategy for organizations. The other issues that we face, and this one will be familiar to you because we're hearing it from so many different venues, is how do I measure my impact? If I'm doing something positive, but it's not a simple metric, how do I put a metric against what I'm doing so that I can share that story and so that I can see my progress? So we help a lot of clients with those kinds of challenges. And we face similar challenges ourselves. Like as a business ourselves, we're a consultancy, we don't have a particularly big footprint, but there are some things that trigger a lot of impact. So we end up, I just mentioned Toronto, Chicago, London in the last month. So I've got a big carbon footprint. How do I manage that down when people want to be connected and there's so much relationship to be developed? That's a bit of a trick for us. And then how do we make sure that we've got the right people on our team? And how do we make sure that our business continues and grows so that we have career paths for all of those people? And those are pretty typical business challenges, I think. How do you grow the business so you can provide those long-term career paths for folks?
Very helpful. I appreciate your candor and vulnerability, because those are things that I think that a lot of folks that are in the space wrestling with. So once again, I appreciate your leadership. So my next question, do you have a set of key priorities right now in your work that you'd like to amplify?
Yeah, the key priorities for me, I mean, one is just directly from our mission, this notion of helping leaders build the success stories. Well, the success stories are infectious if the stories get told. So amplifying the work of our clients is one priority, right? How can we help our clients get more attention for the amazing work that they're doing, or that we're doing together? We are determined to grow our business, and we think in growing our business will drive more impact. We see ourselves as a social purpose company. So the more we grow, the more good we do, and the more good we do, the more we'll grow. And so we're determined to sort of accelerate that process. So marketing and sales and outreach and engagement to all sorts of different constituencies is part of my role. And then always interested to make sure that our team is feeling supported and strong and sort of coherent and connected. So I think those are the three highest priorities: celebrate our clients, earn some more clients, and make sure that our team is thriving.
Those are good goals to have, I think.
Right? That's pretty fantastic.
Yeah. So my next question, that's my second last question. What is your ultimate goal? And what does success look like and feel like to you and your colleagues?
Yeah, those are both good questions. So what success looks and feels like. So I've mentioned our mission statement a couple of times, but our vision is not dissimilar to yours at Setsi, an economy remade to serve the common good. So we really want to see uptake of this kind of thinking at the sort of leadership level in businesses, but in other organizations, at the political level, at the community level, at the national and the international level. So we're trying to make contributions to all of those levels, and we're stronger in some areas than we are in others. But success looks like increased uptake of thinking about well-being in our economies. That's sort of our ultimate success, and it's grand and it's lofty and it's big and it's bold and all those beautiful things. And we know that we're not going to get there alone, but that's why we collaborate with all sorts of other partners. That's what success looks like. And then if I think at a smaller scale, what does success look like for Junxion? Well, it's currently owned by two people, me and a partner, that have been in the business for 10 or 15 years. And the next generation of ownership, we want to be our entire staff. So we've already committed in our current strategic plan to explore the feasibility of different models of shared ownership across the staff, so that we create that opportunity for wealth building and control for our team, all these amazing colleagues that we've got.
Absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for your candor, your leadership, and all that you're doing for so many. So my last question, do you have any closing thoughts or calls to action for our listeners and our viewers?
Yeah, thanks for that. Nice, big, open, juicy question. Calls to action, I think, are always to keep thinking about what we can do differently and do better together. A lot of our work is contingent on other people's work and efforts, right? It's a very sort of collaborative ethos, and a lot of these big challenges that I mentioned require collaboration. No one party is going to solve for climate change. No one party is going to solve for income inequality. And all of the different social justice issues that we think about. So collaboration is increasingly important as the challenges deepen and as the time gets shorter. So always look for the right parties and partners to work with. Always look for the values alignment. and always look for a better way of doing things, right? One of the things that we've learned is you can never rest on your laurels. You always must be continuing to improve, strive to do better. So those would be my calls to action. Those are the things I'm most excited to see people do.
Indeed, as my grandmother always said, we gotta hurry up and take our time. So,
Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
yeah, I couldn't agree more. Mike, listen, since the day we met, I've always appreciated your candor, your leadership, and all that you do. And once again, I'm just inspired by the work of you and your colleagues. I just met one of your remarkable colleagues recently. And yeah, I give thanks for your solidarity and your visionary leadership. And as always, at Setsi, we close things the way we began this conversation interview by giving thanks to the original stewards of the various lands we're on. We give thanks to all our ancestors, all those who toil without compassion or compensation. We give thanks to all our elders and community stalwarts whose shoulders we stand on as we build, share, and learn together for our collective liberation and sovereignty. Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate you.
Thank you. That beautiful, generous close. Appreciate it.